Now, you described these crazy out-of-body experiences you started having after you got shot in the head. Can you describe what those experiences were like?
Well, they're dreamlike, but at the same time, very, very lucid. I mean, I can give you an example. Like one time in the remote viewing unit, I was being trained in extended remote viewing, which is completely different than coordinate remote viewing. It's a different protocol. But I remember, taking the coordinates and trying to go into this altered state. You're supposed to go to a theta brainwave state, alpha brainwave state for coordinate remote viewing, theta brainwave state for extended remote viewing, deeper, almost to the edge of sleep in delta, right? And I remember getting up out of they had a bed that you would lay in or on to do the extended remote viewing. I remember getting up. The red light in the room that normally illuminated the room was off. And I remember going to the door, and it was like being in a twilight. Everything was like a gray. And I go to the door, and I open the door, and there were no lights on in the building. The whole building was just dark and absent. There was nothing there. And I remember going down the hallway and opening the front door to the remote viewing building and going outside. And I remember looking up, and it was like I was standing in an eclipse. That's how the whole matte tone of the world looked at that point. And I walked down off the steps, these wooden steps, and out into this little asphalt kind of parking lot between the two buildings, the admin building in front of me, the remote viewing building behind me. And I remember looking up into the sky, and then just as if I thought about it, shooting straight up into the sky, like 1,000 feet straight up into the sky. And then realizing that whatever momentum brought me up to that point had now exhausted, and I was now falling backwards back to Earth. And then I woke up, and I was in the remote viewing room. So all of that was like an out-of-body experience. That's
Wow.
how I can describe it for you. Yeah, and those happened a lot. It was always up in the air, looking down at things. The tone and the texture of things was crisp and sharp, but the tone was always this monotone, right?
You were conscious? Like you were aware of what was going on? You were lucid? This wasn't like okay, so it was more like a dream.
Like a dream, but I've never had a dream like that before or since. I've not had a dream like that. Dreams are considerably different. I mean, it when you've had that kind of an experience, there's a crispness to it, where dreams seem to be more muddled and convoluted, and I mean, it's almost like changing channels in a dream. You're here and that, and then this and that, right? And in this, it was very linear, but very crisp and organized, and was very aware of what was happening. Like when I looked into the hallway and there were no lights on in the building, I realized that that was unusual, that there were no lights in the building. When I walked out onto the porch and I felt like the light is wrong. Where's the sun? It's like standing in an eclipse. I remember thinking that. And then I remember walking out into the asphalt and then saying, well, let me see if I can jump upwards, maybe see if I can go up, and for whatever stupid reason, right? Your brain thinks this, and then you find yourself shooting straight up into the air, and then you gas out, and then you're at this place of going, oh, well, holy shit, now I'm going to fall backwards again. And it's very real to you at that point, but you ask me what that feels like, that's what it felt like. And it happened many, many times before I got there. And it happened many times after that. They don't happen anymore. And I do dream, but I don't have any experiences like that.
But you were deliberately trying to have those experiences?
No.
I
actually
weren't.
wasn't. No, not at all. No.
Okay. So after you got initiated into this black secret access, special access program, and you read the documents, what did they have you do next?
Well, first of all, being a trainer, I was just fucking appalled that when I got there, it was like, you know, I'm sitting down for my first lecture. Well, the first thing that they do is they bring you into the safe room. And I don't mean safe like protective room. It's a room filled with safes, and they're these file drawer safes. They're like four drawers high. They're like 32 inches deep, 24 inches wide. Combination, you spin the combination, you open up the safe, and you can pull out the drawers. Well, there's one on the far right that's the historical safe. And they said, okay, so before you get your first lecture, you go to this safe every morning, and you start at this file, top drawer, front. And when you get to the last file in the bottom drawer in the back, then tell me and we'll start your training. So I'm like, fuck. Because now you're just like, you know, it's like, God darn, man, that's a shit. So it took me weeks to wallow through it. And I saw things that were really strange and interesting. And at the same time, things you just look at yourself, you know, in the mirror in the morning and go like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, is this for real? I mean, you drive to work there going, I can't fucking believe what I'm doing. You know, I can't believe I'm an Army major getting paid to, this is the strangest thing I could ever know, you know, to like, I mean, I'll believe anything now, you know, I mean, it's like anything in the intel world you tell me about, okay, I'll believe it because
no matter
look
how
at what I'm doing.
sci-fi it is.
Yeah, I mean, look at where I am and what I'm doing and going to work to do. And so after you get done with the historical file, which is the story of everything leading up to the unit, everything that the Soviets were doing, everything the Chinese were doing, everything the Israelis were doing, everything that anybody else, the Germans, the Brits, I mean, anybody that was dabbling in this, and they were all dabbling in it. Why? Because it was cheap. And it's like the director of the Central Intelligence Agency said back in 73, he goes, all right, fuck, I don't care if it's only 3% accurate, or rather 6% accurate. If it's 6% accurate information that I cannot glean by any other intelligence collection means, it's intelligence dollars well spent. I mean, it's 6% of the puzzle. Now, it's far more accurate than 6%. 6% would be very low, actually, but you get what I'm saying to you,
yes,
right? He was like, fuck it, you know, this is stupid. If we can get a bunch of people in a room and teach them how to go into an altered state of consciousness and they come back and with sketches and verbal, you know, sensory data about something, like, fuck yeah, you know, this is good. Let's do this. So that's where I saw all of that. And then I sat down for my first day of training.